My name is Christy Muse, and with this very small group of very passionate and creative people with big hearts and big ideas, that includes Ira Yates and that includes Karen Ford, we founded this organization in 2004. So this award was created in 2019, and I'm very proud to have been a recipient that first year, but more importantly, however, I'm so honored to have received the award alongside one of my dear friends and one of my heroes, Sky Louie. The Heart of the Hill Country Award is intended to recognize and thank our region's greatest champions. And those of you who knew Sky will agree there's never been a better river advocate, one as wise and true and smart and passionate as Sky. And she grew up on the Nueces River. She made protecting that river her life's work. And we miss you, Sky. So last year, Sky and I together presented Heart of the Hill Country Awards to two recipients, Karen Ford, who was a former Hays County Commissioner and also a founding HCA board member and is a beautiful communicator and creative thinker for all things Hill Country and water through her firm, Water PR. And also to Annalisa Peace, who is the founding executive director of the Greater Edwards Aquifer Alliance, GIA, down in San Antonio. This beautiful award, and if somebody wants to hold it up, it was created by J.J. Preer. And J.J. is the son of Damian Preer, who also was a Hill Country Alliance founding board member. He is a sculptor, and he was an amazing, beautiful artist, and he brought beauty and creativity to HCA that I still see in the organization today. But in keeping with Damien's style, JJ used limestone and glass to present key elements of our beautiful region, and that's our karst geology and glass representing the beautiful clear waters of our region. JJ, would you just stand up so we could acknowledge you? Thank you so much for this beautiful piece of art. So this first award goes to Carolyn Chipman Evans, and I met Carolyn in 2007. At that time, Carter Smith, I think he was at TNC at the time, but he said, you need to meet Carolyn Chipman Evans. She is doing incredibly impactful work down in Kendall County, and I think she'd be great for the Hill Country Alliance. So Nell Penridge and Karen Ford and I sat down with Carolyn and in hopes she might be interested in what we do. We explained our mission to her and some of our goals, and I think it took about 15 minutes for Carolyn to smile and say, okay, I'm in. And after 3 years on the board, Carolyn became the president of the HCA board in 2010. It was a really fun year and a really fun board, and I think Carolyn and Ira and Sky probably tied for who gets in the water first anytime we're near the river, and we always made sure we were near the river. Carolyn that year recruited her dear friend Mike Morton, another Hill Country leader that many of us miss. He recruited Mike to create the first Hill Country Alliance strategic plan. I think Carolyn was probably the first HCA president to also have this role of serving as an ED of her own organization. So for me, as an ED who was really just learning by doing and kind of making it up as I went along, she was the most incredible mentor I could have hoped for. Carolyn's been nurturing this conservation movement along Cibolo Creek in Kendall County for 35 years. And loving the Hill Country, it's in her blood, it's who she is. Her great-great-grandparents settled here in the 1850s. She started this organization, Cibolo Wilderness, in 1988, and she's been creating, growing, evolving, and leading ever since. I asked one of her staff members, Ben Eldridge, to help me put some words together, and he said it far better than I could have. He said, Carolyn is a visionary and an entrepreneurial leader who built our nature center from a group of friends cleaning up a park into an internationally recognized center for conservation. Her leadership style is particularly remarkable, fostering a culture of collaboration, encouraging innovation, and supporting the emergence of new conservation leaders. And it's true. I witnessed it firsthand as I had the privilege of serving on her board. Once the Nature Center was fully established, she literally wrote the book, How to Create and Nurture a Nature Center in Your Community. And I checked last night, and it's available on Amazon if you want to check this book out for your community. But it occurs to me, what a great goal for all of us to establish these centers for conservation in every corner of the Hill Country. In 1998, Carolyn and her husband and partner in all things, Brent, founded the Cibolo Conservancy. This is a local land trust holding conservation easements. The Conservancy's protected 20 square miles of Hill Country land. And as Catherine mentioned earlier, they recently worked with their county officials to put a $20 million bond on the next bond referendum. In 2007, the Cibolo Nature Center grew to become the Nature Center and Farm. The board acquired a historic property along Cibolo Creek and adjacent to the Nature Center. They raised the money, they placed a conservation easement on the land to forever protect it, and they carefully restored this beautiful classic stone farmhouse. And this place serves as a learning center and a gathering center today, and a demonstration site for age-old practices like rainwater harvesting. It's a place for teaching and connecting with the past as we grapple with these challenges of our future. You know, the population of Boerne is exploding and putting great stress on the aquifer. And so through Carolyn's leadership, they created the Cibolo Conservation Corridor, which is a plan for protecting land up and down the corridor. This thoughtful approach to land conservation is proven and it's working. Now, getting to the next generation, because Carolyn does not stop. Carolyn and her board dreamt of, raised the money, did the research, created, and opened the Nest Nature Skill. Now there's an incredible nature-based preschool on the grounds of the Cibolo. All of this work has transcended a nature center into the Cibolo Center for Conservation with over 113,000 visitors a year. There's so much more to say. But personally, I think of Carolyn as an early riser, a warm heart, a supportive friend, proud mom and grandmom, and truly a conservation hero. I had to ask Brent to help me reflect about what's it like to live with this Carolyn Chipman Evans. She rises in the dark, she starts the coffee, she calls in the horses, tends to the gardens, mulching here, pruning there, video chatting with her daughter in Italy while walking the dogs. Chickens scold her while she journals or yogas or listens to books. Then it's off to her duty desk. With good posture, she enters the day. And Carolyn is as fun as can be. So congratulations, Carolyn. Thank you. Look at this cool hat. Oh, yes. I love it. I'm going to like this. Completely composed before that, especially the words Brent said about me. I want to thank you for this award, especially an award from my, Christy, I was going to not cry. But this is really quite an honor because it's coming from my heroes. It's coming from the people in this room that are truly my conservation heroes. And it is the greatest award. And I just want you to know that I get the award, but I want to accept it
on the behalf of the people that have made the Cibolo possible, especially my patient and kind and encouraging husband, Brent, wherever he is, that sent all nice pictures, all nice pictures of me. And I heard that he sent the pictures for the slideshow. I got a little worried. But you did good. You did good. But really and truly, this work is not something that you do alone. You do it with a community, and you do it with friends and supporters and encouraging loved ones that stick with you. And as Christy said, in 2007, I was approached by Christy and Karen and Nell and asked if I would join this little organization with a big idea. And I was intrigued to know that there were others out there that were actually in Texas and in the Hill Country and thinking about doing this work together and forming an alliance. And so, yeah, I said yes. I don't know that it took me 15 minutes. But I had been working on conservation efforts in our community for many years and oftentimes felt like, David fighting Goliath with a toothpick. Like, stop that. I felt pretty small and against very, very large concerns and issues in our community. But in joining HCA, I really found my tribe, and I found my champions and my force. And to be able to share the struggle and to learn from others and to find a strong and solid camaraderie of friends and people that knew what we were going through and had ideas and solutions was hugely empowering. And we were a pretty small group back then. There was just really a handful of us, and I think that the Hill Country Alliance Board and Christy's method of you got to have fun to get good work done was great, because all our board meetings would be in beautiful places so that we would, remember what we were working for. And so we became a really close-knit group of friends doing really hard work. Now, Hill Country Alliance, that little idea has turned into a big idea that really worked. There's over 7,000 people involved with Hill Country Alliance now, over the 17 counties. Why you didn't do the whatever David Bugg said, 18. How many are there really? 28. 17 is plenty. We got a lot, and it's a real big idea, and it's doing really great work. And as you know, conservation work in the Texas Hill Country can be very difficult and seemingly always an uphill battle. Oftentimes makes me feel like I'm having a reoccurring nightmare. As soon as I get one thing solved, the next thing comes along, and it just feels like a constant challenge. But HCA is here to help, and this is what I have found so helpful in this organization, is that I can find in this room, and if it's not in this room, it's in somebody that knows how to do the thing that I don't know how to do, and can help us all be better. And we are better together. We're smarter, we're more impactful, and we can make a bigger impact in the world. We can make a bigger difference by being together. I know I'm going to sound like an advertisement for HCA, but it's because I believe so much in this work. But I want to remind you of what the guiding principles of HCA are. And if you'll allow me, I'm just going to read a few of them, because I think this is really important for us to all know. HCA brings together diverse people and perspectives to take on challenges. HCA recognizes that growth in the Hill Country, if it happens in a thoughtful way, can protect and even enhance the natural and economic resources of our region. HCA believes information sharing, leadership building, it believes in information sharing, leadership building, and education. And HCA accomplishes much of its work by supporting partner organizations and entities. That's really important. And HCA has been hugely supportive of our organization. There's so many big issues that we tackle, like water resources, land stewardship and conservation, planning and development, night skies, children and nature, influencing the state legislature. It goes on and on. But for us personally, for the Cibolo, HCA has helped in a number of ways. And right now, you've heard a couple of comments about the bond election that we've gotten, the bond initiative that we've gotten on the ballot for November for $20 million for natural areas to protect land and water in Kendall County. Well, we could not have done that without Catherine and the team helping us do that. And that's huge. That's the biggest opportunity to save land in the hill country in Kendall County that we've ever had. And that's, Britt Evans and Catherine and Ben Eldridge, with the Cibolo. I mean, it's this many people who are making this big thing happen. And it's so empowering to know that you can really do that kind of thing and that kind of work. You can make a big impact if you have the right team and the right support, and you know who to go to that knows somebody who can help you. So I just want to say again that it's really a tremendous honor to be here in this room. You are all my heroes. The fact that you showed up today, and I couldn't agree more with you and others that have said it this morning. This room needs to be younger. It needs to be more diverse, and so does the Cibolo. And we're hiring. We're growing like crazy. We doubled in size in the last year by opening our nature preschool. So I'm just saying, Cibolo is trying to grow into that next generation and really become the next generation's Cibolo. Anyway, I want to thank you all again. It is my greatest honor, and on behalf of all the friends of the Cibolo that have helped along the way, I happily accept this award and that.
Speaking of diversity, David Baker is the first guy to be honored with the Heart of the Hill Country Award. So here he is again, going where no man has gone before, breaking the mold, coloring outside the lines, and paving the way for others. But David will tell you, as he told me recently, that he'd rather be remembered for unpaving the way. And that's exactly what he's done on much of the land surrounding Jacob's Well in the Wimberley Valley. What began for David as a little side trip to the well during his visit to Wimberley in 1988 turned into an ongoing, mad, crazy love affair with a magical pool of water and a sacred spring. You see, the well spoke to David on that day, and he couldn't get its shape or color, its feel, its whispers out of his head. And in a matter of months, David left his mountaintop home near Santa Cruz, California, in the redwoods with views of the Pacific, and he packed up his family and he moved to a little rock cottage just a few steps away from Jacob's Well. David accepted his role of protector-in-chief for the well, and in the years since, he has enlisted thousands of others in this mission and sharing his passion for this place. In 1996, just 8 years after arriving, David, along with other community members, founded the Wimberley Valley Watershed Association, and their focus was on getting the full ownership of the well and 100 acres around it. In 2005, the group got a loan for $2 million and bought 100% of the well itself and 45 acres around it. And this is literally where the unpaving began, when they took up roads and tennis courts and sidewalks and buildings that were removed to return it to a natural area. A patchwork of other land acquisition was completed in 2010 with a bond election in Hays County, and today Hays County owns Jacob's Well and the 96 acres of natural area around it. David believed that the best way to protect the well was to share it so that others could experience its beauty, its powers, and feel responsible for it. Today, David continues his watch and work. He's not going away. He's conserving land for water. He's advocating for the Jacobs Well groundwater management zone, which is a reality. He was very involved in the Wimberley One Water School. He believes in science-based, reasonable regulations, sustainable development, integrated water management, and his newest outreach venture is Art for Water. Because you see, David is also a very accomplished artist, and he uses art to connect with people. So I want you all to do yourself a big favor and go see the Sacred Springs Kite exhibit at the Austin Public Library before it closes November the 30th. This is an Art for Water project and a result of David's passion for his work in the natural environment. For natural places to remain natural, stewards like David Baker are required. David is truly one of the hardest working and biggest hearts of the Hill Country, and I want you to honor him now with me. Thank you.
That was so kind.
Put this on.
Okay.
Can I have a picture made?
Oh, thanks.
I'll take this down for
thank
you.
you, Karen. So nice. Wow. Yeah, I wasn't going to cry either, but and thank you, Karen. That was just a very, very gracious introduction. Just thank you for your leadership and dedication over the years, and just I'm very honored to be recognized for this work and to join Carolyn and Christy and Karen and Annalisa and our beloved Sky Louie. I feel her spirit with us, watching over us, and I think we all know, the patriarchy is responsible for a lot of the mess that we find the world in today. So being the first guy in this group is a real honor. So I appreciate that. I've just learned so much from these women and this this organization. Christy was on the board with her for 10 years, and just her predecessor Catherine and Vanessa Puig Williams, president, and the whole board. This is a tremendous honor. And HCA has been such a leader in advocating for protecting the natural beauty of this region and just the ecological treasures, the legacy of these family ranches, and really just these crystal clear springs like Jacobs Well and these just incredible rivers and it's just it's been just HCA is like a family, and I used to joke, but it's really true. It was like a support group to come to the HCA board meetings, because we met people from all around the region that were dealing and grappling with these same issues, that we were, and we didn't feel isolated. We learned from each other. We were able to inspire each other to go on, and I think great leaders don't just lead followers; they lead leaders. And I think that's what's happened here is we're growing leaders to do this work and scale this impact across the region. And this place is irreplaceable. It's one of the most extraordinary natural environments in the entire country, if not the world. It's just so inspiring to see this. This Hill Country Conservation Network that's come together, all these amazing partners, and the relationships between the organizations, because we can't be successful without the collective impact of all of us understanding the mission, understanding how we can scale this. And I believe this earth is, it's a sacred gift from God, and it teaches us how to live if we're given, the opportunity to experience the magic of nature. And I think at any age that can be lit up, but especially for our young people. And when I think about what inspired me to spend the last 30 years doing this work, just thinking about these things nonstop, just how do we protect this spring and these waters? I remember back as 55 years ago, a 9-year-old boy, and we lived in Kansas City. In the weekends, we'd go down to the Ozarks, down to the Osage River Valley, and my father would take us on these float trips. And I remember one morning we went to Bennett Springs, and I looked it up today. It flows over 100 million gallons a day. It's about the same size as San Marcos Springs, and they stock it with rainbow trout. And it was the really early morning, and the light was hitting the water, and there were rainbows coming off the water, and the rainbow trout were swimming, and we were getting ready for a 5-day trip to camp out on the river, with my family and my friends, and I can still feel that feeling of seeing that incredible spring and this opportunity to spend that time in nature. And when I saw the well for the first time, that all rushed back to me. All of that came back, and there I was, 29-year-old, artist with my 9-month-old son named Jacob, which was kind of a coincidence. He thinks the well's named after him, by the way. I was like, this is it. This is the place I want to put my stake in the ground. This is where I can do something special. And I didn't know much about it. Nobody did. And then in a way, the well is still a mystery. The second longest underwater cave in Texas, and it had millions of gallons coming out of it. As we speak today, there's just a trickle of about 300,000 gallons coming out of it and going on and off as the Aqua Texas turns their pumps on and off to feed the development. And it's an existential threat to our whole valley. That's an economic engine. We bring in $100 million from tourism in our valley, and we had to close the well this summer. We had to close Blue Hole. And so, this is a critical moment in time. And, I think back of my dear friend Jack Holland. I see Matt here today, Johanna Smith, and Joe Day, all founders of the association, all who have passed. But that love and that connection between us lives on. And, just seeing Matt, I see Jack, here today, and I know he is smiling on us. And, I think I've really, I've worked pretty tirelessly the last 30 years to clean up this place. It was a mess. There was just trash and dumps and old cars and refrigerator. I mean, it was a trashed out place, and it's not that anymore. It's a beautiful place that people from 28 countries come to see that spring, and people from all over Texas come there because it's a sacred place. And I just many times I've been defeated in this work. The Kinder Morgan pipeline, for instance, was probably one of the worst things we've ever worked on. But we did get them to move the pipeline away from the Blanco River. We got them to do dry boring. We got them to do things that they wouldn't have done if we hadn't stood up to them and hadn't filed a lawsuit against him. And, it takes courage, it takes resources, it takes knowledge to fight some of these fights. But, a few years ago, I was like, a consultant's like, man, you guys sure are against a lot of things. What are you for? And I said, well, we're for one water. We're for conservation. We're for clean water. We're for a lot of things. And I think you mentioned the One Water School, and building that school that catches rainwater, AC condensate, and reduces the groundwater consumption by almost 75%, and is going to save the school district $1 million over the next 25 years in water and sewer rates, and recycles that water on site. That's what I'm for. That's the answer. And we can do this. And we're going to have another 2.5 million people move to this region. We're going to have to be smarter. We're going to have to be more innovative in what we do and how we grow. And, I got to really, give a deep thanks to Robin Gary, my managing director. Where's Robin at? Because Robin came on 2 years ago. Yeah, she represents the hope for the succession of this organization. She's an amazing scientist and educator and incredible communicator, and she's brought so much to our organization. And Aaliyah and Timia, who are our program coordinators, just they're in their early 30s, so they're that young generation that's brings this professionalism and dedication and this innovation to this work. And the biggest thanks has to go to my wife, Ellen, because she's the love of my life, and she's the one that she hears all the stuff at night, right? So she's like, gosh, can you turn that thing off, buddy? But just unending support and patience and just counseling, and her love just has really, it's been, just incredible. And she listens to those issues, many of which I kind of cause. So, but she still loves me in spite of that obsessiveness. And I just, I want to acknowledge, all the organizations here, all of you, just thank you for this incredible award. And I really want to thank my father for having taken me to the river, to have that experience, to know, so I knew what it was when I saw Jacob's Well. And I thought I didn't want to waste this opportunity on putting out a call to action, because I'm sitting there listening to David. And so I think the first call to action is, let's do everything David told us to do, because I think that is probably one of the most important things we can do, is expand the diversity, equity, inclusion of our organizations, of our efforts across the conservation space. I think we need to fully fund capacity building for the conservation organizations. We need to be able to keep those young people employed and give them benefits, give them retirements, and things that we didn't think about back when we were starting all this, and bring in this next generation of leaders. I would challenge us to figure out a way, with all this wealth in the state, to invest $10 billion in the next 10 years in land and water conservation and parks and open space, ecosystem services, One Water, natural infrastructure. We can do that. That's not even the 0.1% of the GPD of our region. We got to grant counties and GCDs the authority and necessary funding for science, and mandate sustainable groundwater management plans for all our aquifers and watersheds. We need to advance the Children in Nature initiative, expand the greening of our school campuses with One Water design and STEAM curriculum. And I think we need to adopt conservation development standards, advance for all Hill Country counties, and mandate rainwater harvesting for all new development. And I do think we need to form a political action committee for the Hill Country that works on electing the leaders that are going to carry forward these policies at the legislative, at our county, and our city levels. And the last call to action is, in the 2022 legislative session, we need to pass the Sky Louie pristine streams legislation. Thank you all so much. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you, Catherine.
Awesome. I just love ending with a vision like that, because I think that another thread that ties our Heart of the Hill Country recipients and all of us together is vision. Vision for what the future of the Hill Country could look like. So thank you, both David and Carolyn, for all of your incredible work for our region.